Please welcome to the stage Jason Lyman, CMO at Customer I/O.
Hello. Excited to be here. For those that don't know me, my name is Jason Lyman. I'm the CMO at Customer I/O. Customer I/O is a customer engagement platform. So we help marketing teams and growth teams. Build automated journeys that help drive engagement and impact. Today we have about 7,000 companies that use our platform to send over 35 billion messages across email, in-app, push, and SMS. So given that context, we have really strong visibility around what types of campaigns work and what types of campaigns don't. So today's focus is really going to arm you with some best practices that you could bring to bear in your business to deliver more impact. So with that, let's dive in. In marketing, there's a saying that the right message, the right time, and the right audience is how you deliver the most impact. While helpful in concept, it can be a challenge to figure out how do you actually implement this. And I think this is especially true in the SaaS world where the market is pretty dynamic and constantly changing. However, the best brands have been able to figure this out. And as a result, they have developed some best practices around how to effectively apply these concepts. So let's talk about some of those ways now. So when you think about the right message, it's important to understand that personalization is going to be the key. If you think about your own experience, you're likely being bombarded with messages today, and as a result, many of those messages get ignored. So it's important that you figure out how do you stand out. And if you're able to stand out, it can deliver huge impact for your business. A recent survey by Dynata found that 84% of customers are more likely to purchase with a vendor that offers a personalized experience. Next, when you think about timing, the key here is to understand that context is super important. And the part about context that people tend to miss is the role that a marketing channel can play in delivering that context. Salesforce released a survey that said 71% of consumers prefer different channels of communication depending on the context of the message. So what does that mean for you as a marketer? It means that your marketing campaigns need to be omni-channel from the very beginning. If not, then you're likely missing out on the impact that you can deliver. And then lastly, when you think about the right audience, it's important that you build those audiences based upon the interactions that they've had with your business to date. In that same survey, Salesforce identified that 64% of customers expect campaigns to adapt to those changing preferences. So what does that mean to you? That means that you need to be data-driven not only in how you create the audiences for your campaigns, but those audiences need to be dynamic. So you need to be shifting customers in and out based upon the actions that they're taking. So in thinking about these concepts, we went back and looked at all the campaigns that are run on Customer I/O. And what we found is these themes were consistent across the top performing campaigns. And so what we want to do is walk through some practical examples so that you can see how these concepts are applied. So let's first start with Notion. So hopefully a lot of you are familiar with Notion. It is a AI-driven workspace where you can write, plan, and organize as a team to deliver more impact. They've gone through massive growth over the past couple of years and recently crossed 100 million users. And while this was amazing progress for the business, it created some challenges for a young lifecycle marketing team. And so they were really focused around driving product activation of all of these new users that were coming onto the platform. So they became really opinionated around what are the most important features that we need to be promoting and how can we deliver a personalized experience to drive more activation. The campaigns that they built generated open rates of between 49 and 51% and click-through rates of 1 to 1.5%. And the way they were able to do that was by applying these concepts of personalization, being multi-channel, and being adaptable. So when they thought about personalization, for them it was key to build campaigns that align to the unique user persona. And so that way they were able to customize the copy, the examples, and the value prop to make sure that it aligned with what they cared about. And then they were able to look at the success of those campaigns by geography, and then they quickly localized those campaigns to become even more impactful. Notion did an amazing job of moving from a single channel to an omni-channel approach, using both email and in-app to drive impact. And lastly, they made sure that these campaigns were adaptable because they only triggered the campaign once you started using the feature. A lot of times companies want to talk about their new features, so they just blast it out broadly to the base of users. Versus Notion made sure that those communications were aligned with how they were actually using the product. And as a result, they were able to generate millions of dollars of incremental revenue by driving new users onto the platform and pushing them into higher priced plans. Next, I want to talk about Les Mills. For those of you who don't know Les Mills, they're a global leader in group fitness. So they manage a portfolio of digital and in-person experiences. As you might suspect, their business is very seasonal. And so they tend to see a lot of churn that happens in the early part of the year. And so the team wanted to be proactive in getting ahead of that. And so they built very targeted churn mitigation campaigns that were targeted at inactive users. And as a result of these efforts, they were able to convert 8,000 accounts that were predicted to churn through their efforts. And this represented over 53% of the audience of this campaign. And for those customers that did renew, 80% of those customers renewed into an annual plan. And that's really important because it gave them a lot more time to build value with them and make sure they were a customer for the long term. Les Mills was able to take this concept of personalization and apply it in an effective way. They looked at the activities that those users had used in the past to inform the recommendations of the campaign. And additionally, they were able to provide personalized offers that were based upon the lifetime value of that customer. So they could be more aggressive with high LTV customers and less aggressive with lower LTV customers. They were able to launch this across 3 different channels. It was a wonderful mix of email, in-app, and push notifications. And the campaigns themselves were adaptive based upon the current activity levels of customers. So they used a data-driven approach to identify the initial wave, and then they monitored their customer base going forward. And so when they identified an account as being inactive, they were dropped into this campaign. So what became a one-off effort is now an evergreen approach. Last but not least, I want to talk about Zen.com. Zen.com is a fintech company that offers a really unique in-app experience where they streamline purchasing, money transfer, and budget management. And they were able to actually generate over 500,000 downloads of their application in a really short amount of time. But naturally, with that high growth, the emphasis became then focused on how do I drive activation and conversion. And so they applied these principles really successfully to deliver a 15% increase in activity levels, and conversion rates also increased by 10%. The way that they were able to do that is they effectively used personalized offers to get customers to that aha moment more quickly. So they looked at their user base across the European region, and they identified offers that were local to that user. And so that was what they were prioritizing in the campaigns that they were leveraging. Additionally, the campaign that they replaced was primarily an email-only effort. And as a result of these changes, they moved towards an SMS, email, and in-app approach, which drove better awareness and better conversion of this new messaging. And then last but not least, they made their campaigns adaptable based upon their sophistication with the app. So if they had used the app before, they were given a different experience than those users that had never used the app in the past. So when we step back and look at all of these examples, hopefully it's clear to you that in order to land the right message at the right time with the right audience, you need to make sure that your campaigns are personalized. They need to be multi-channel, and they must be adaptable. And this is the new way in which SaaS organizations need to execute from a campaign perspective to be successful. So I'm really passionate about these concepts. We'd love to talk more about them. Please come visit us at our Customer I/O booth. You also can connect with me on LinkedIn or on social, and we hope to chat more about this with you in the future. Thank you.